So living with chronic pain usually calls for lots of emergency room visits, whether it's before your diagnosis on what's actually causing your chronic pain, and sometimes even after, because sometimes you have days where that pain is so bad you can't do your everyday activities, Over time, people usually kind of figure out what medicine works best for them. For a lot of people, that's actually marijuana. When we go into the emergency room, we're up front. We say, hey, this is what we use. This is our medicine of choice. That can either go one or two ways. The staff can either be understanding and get it and say, oh, okay, cool. We get that it's medicine. We get that it helps you. Or they can completely dismiss everything you're even there for, consider you an addict, and get you out the door. I've honestly had both experiences upon my times of going to the emergency room. The second, the more harmful one, has been from doctors that are very dismissive of anything that I ever came in for. Nausea, pain, it would either just be my period issues or my mind, Once they became aware that I was a marijuana user, this was before I got my card, they would push on my stomach real hard where I was hurting, and they would release and just push, and they look at me and, well, just must be your marijuana smoking, you better knock it off. They'll come in, they'll pop a pill in my mouth, tell me to keep taking this nausea medicine because that's going to make me feel better. It makes no sense, because the marijuana is what makes me feel better, and without it is when I'm sick, and a lot of people actually go through this, and I thought I was the only one being dismissed from doctors just because of my marijuana usage. I never thought to actually look into this a little further, so I went and I asked a group of mine that I'm actually involved in, a good support group, on their experience with medical marijuana before it was legalized and after, and when they go to an emergency room. Upon disclosing, do they feel like they were taken seriously or immediately dismissed, or do they feel like they were taken care of properly upon disclosing that they used marijuana for medicine? I got numerous responses from numerous people, one way or the other, again, either having super positive responses from the whole staff or super negative responses from the whole staff. There's a condition that often gets tossed around that I've been seeing in a few people that have responded to me, called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but doctors have told me that. They also just called it, you have CHS, and they just wouldn't really lean into it anymore. Honestly, the knowledge really isn't there. I looked into it a lot. It's rare. It only happens in marijuana users, obviously, and it's chronic marijuana users, which could be us, but this would make more sense if we didn't have these underlying issues, These doctors immediately heard us say marijuana, knew something from their doctor knowledge about marijuana, and then linked us with that condition in the emergency room, because that's their best bet, is to get us in and out of there. And their dismissal had caused us to live even longer with an actual disease that was causing us chronic pain, and it just made us go even more crazier in the long run. There were people who said that when they admitted to doing it, that they immediately got medicine or psychoactive medicine, even just to kind of like control your brain, and it made people feel really weird. And why would you, I don't understand why you give somebody a psychoactive medicine like that, just because they admitted into smoking weed. Makes no sense. But doctors are doctors, they know it all, but apparently not, because they don't actually think about the side effects of these medicines that they're giving us. Even with the simple nausea medicine that they shove down our throat every time we go in there, like every time I go in there, they immediately give me nausea medicine because I have a history of nausea, but I don't always need it. If I complain about it, yeah, I might need it, but I don't even like the side effects from that, like mentally. Like, it just, all medicine makes me feel funny except for marijuana. And I have to explain myself so much to people. And it's sad because it's a medicine, and just like any medicine, you can actually end up having long-term issues. And that could be why some people get the CHS, which really could happen. It makes sense, To me, in my personal opinion, with my knowledge knowing that THC could increase some cell migration, it could also influence a flare-up within your digestive tract in your stomach, So THC might actually be causing some sort of inflammation and flare-up, which could be the issue in some users, It's also said that CBD has helped to combat that cell migration and withheld it from actually migrating. So getting products that actually have that 50-50 or just that good amount of both in there really actually help weigh each other out. And I honestly have felt better once I started purchasing products that have both rather than just one or the other. And that could have very well been my problem, was CHS, but activated by the strict THC, by the stuff that I was getting when it was not legal. Now it is legal and I am able to purchase it legally and medically, specifically for what I need, and I am feeling great. And doctors are just now realizing it. My medical marijuana doctor was thrilled to know that my back doctor for my back injury and my endometriosis specialist both agreed, like, hey, yeah, medical marijuana is going to help you out. Let's do this. That's two big doctors right there, specialists, in the game that are like, yes, medical marijuana are in it. But when I go to the emergency room, I sometimes get these doctors and they immediately flag my account, and then I'll go into my specialist and they're like, wow, this is ridiculous, and they'll take the flag off. It's sad. And I honestly never thought, like I said, to think about anybody else who actually experienced stuff like that, and there's lots of people. So I just thought I'd kind of like hit a little thing there, because I don't know if it's talked about much, those experiences and the actual medical negligence that's tied into just the fact that I chose marijuana as my medicine. It's just the more that science gets into this actual plant, we realize that THC and CBD itself actually are broken down to at least 9 different branches within themselves. And the more we are testing each property, we are realizing that they aid in different type of aspects within our cannabinoid system. It's just pretty cool. It can vary from having seizures, keeping the seizures from happening, promoting bone growth. That's huge in people who have those fragile bone diseases. We can strengthen those bones just by simply using this plant. Suppress muscle spasms, we can reduce inflammation, relieve pain, and even sometimes slow bacterial growth. This has all become fresh knowledge just by testing the different properties within this plant itself. It's mind-blowing. So the more we found out about this drug, the more it's actually grown to be useful. But as an emergency doctor, I get the idea of getting in and out and just using your basic knowledge, but I think basic knowledge should include medical marijuana and its actual properties, not the fact that, oh my God, you're an addict, we need to flag your account, because that happens all the time. I realized within the questions that I was asking that more of the dismissal was actually happening in areas where, medical marijuana or marijuana was just looked down upon, wasn't even thought about of even opening up into the medical marijuana process. Many doctors actually forget that many of us actually struggle with these issues long before we even started smoking marijuana. Long before we even realized, hey, marijuana could actually help us besides all these other drugs that all these doctors had us on for so long, while I've been trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with my body. It's ridiculous. It blows my mind, and I just hope that one day that this movement of medical marijuana and legalizing it across the United States actually happens. We're in the midst of so much going on right now, and it's real tough, and I still would like to try to talk about things and not lose sight of what some of us are still actually going through during this pandemic and during living in chaos, basically. If you guys still want to share your stories with me, go for it. Comment below. Go to my support pages. That's what they're there for. They're there for support and awareness, and to just kind of get that knowledge out there, to get to talk about it. If we talk about it, the more we can learn about it. That's all I want to do. Let's talk about it. If you had experience, even just with some other type of medicine that a doctor, like for instance, if you were having a bad pain day and you decided to pop a pill, and you went to the doctor and they gave you hell for that, what else are you supposed to do? If that's the medicine that helps you, it helps you. And doctors just kind of need to understand we are doing everything we can living with a chronic pain disorder that causes symptoms off and on. We can be good in 5 minutes compared to the death we feel when we wake up. I don't know, but I just really hope something's done. But like I said, if you guys want to share with me, do it. Give me some other topics you'd like to hear about as we touch base, as I start doing this Real Talk Tuesday and keep going on with it. I kind of really am getting into the mood of hitting on some important topics here within the medical aspect with chronic pain. I really thought, like I said, this would be a good topic to do because it just kind of popped into my head and I was like, it's not really talked about. So it's interesting to hear other people's stories and what other people go through. I want to hear them. I only really heard from the group that I was involved in that I actually asked them personally. But I still want to hear from you guys. Let me know. Share this video. Tell others, legalization is going to happen. I have my medical card. That's why I'm openly talking about this. Because it actually helps. It truly helps. And the more you look into it, I'm telling you, the more mind blown you're going to be. So stick with me. We're in this together. This is a whole journey. This is a life journey. A lifelong journey. Let's go.